Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for the opportunity to come here today and present. I want to thank the events people, they've done a great job. I also want to thank Sydney for putting on some lovely weather for us. And of course I want to thank Qantas for actually making it here. Crusader is a company that's been in Brazil now for 5 or 6 years. We're a young company, we're very excited and we're very pleased to be in Brazil, and we really enjoy it. As do I. I've lived there now for 5 years. This presentation will include some forward-looking statements. I don't expect you to read that, but if you'd like a full copy, I can provide that for you a bit later on. Brazil is a place that we've been, and we really enjoy working. Not only for the fact that we've got a good mining industry and there's a well understood mining legislation, but it's also an exciting place to be. The growth of the country, the people, very similar to Australians, if you don't mind me saying so, and we really enjoy being there. Crusader itself, we think we've got a pretty compelling business model and investment case. The first thing that I want to talk about is that we're a developer and explorer of gold and iron ore in Brazil, and we're chasing after what we think are opportunities in the South American powerhouse of Brazil. One of the other points of difference for Crusader is that our management team is pretty much all based in Brazil, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got a project which is very close to production. We see that as a real key for us. It's not a big project. It's quite modest, and what that will do will allow us to achieve some of our ambitions. The main one is a large gold project up in the northeast of Brazil, which we think will be a very significant project for the company. The third thing is to build and develop that gold mine. Borborema is located in Rio Grande do Norte, up in the northeast, and we believe that this gold project has the potential to be a world-class project. A little bit about the company. I'm conscious of what Phil said with death by PowerPoint. There's a lot of information there. I'd like to just point out a couple of lines. I'm not really sure, but Crusader's been listed since 2004. We listed here in Australia. We've been in Brazil since 2005. We've got 110 million shares on issue and about $20 million in the bank at the moment. The board's quite experienced. We've operated all around the world. We've got a good range of different strengths. If you get a chance to stop by the booth, you can have a chat to Paul Stephen, who's one of the other executive directors on the board, and the CFO, Andrew Beigel, is here as well. In terms of the executive team in country, I've been there 5 years. Our COO, Mike Schmulian, has been based in Brazil for 25 years now. He's an Australian guy. He used to work for Western Mining and Anglo Gold, very experienced in the gold scene. He's obviously fluent in Portuguese. The other guy that we lean upon very heavily is the exploration manager. Aidan Platel was a part of one of the very good success stories of Brazil and Australia, Mirabella exploration. Mirabella went from a zero base to the third biggest open-air nickel mine in the world at the project called Santa Rita in Bahia State, and Aidan was basically the geologist that took it all the way through to production. When they made him a mine geologist, he decided that wasn't the right thing to do, and he's joined us, and we're very appreciative of that. The other person that I'd like to point out, who's actually here today as well, we've decided that it's not only is it good enough for Australians to go to Brazil, we've actually got a Brazilian now working in our Australian office. So Ramon, if you stop by the booth, there he is at the back, he's just waving for us. Ramon, despite being a gaucho from the south of the country, and he barracks for the wrong team. He's a Gremio supporter, but no, Ramon's helping us to understand, and our Australian office to understand the Brazilian legislation. Where are we? Okay, we're talking about two projects today. Borborema, up in the northeast, right on what we call the elbow of South America, and it's a gold project. It's about 140 kilometres from Natal, and our iron project is called Posse. It's just outside of Belo Horizonte, not dissimilar distance away than that Safam is from Belo. We're going to talk about Borborema first. It's a project that's got some great infrastructure. It's an important part of every project. We're located about 140 kilometres from Natal. Natal's a great city up in the northeast. It's a bit of a beachside town. About 800,000 people live there. The project itself is blessed with a major federal highway running right through the middle of it, the BR226. We've got power lines that run right through the middle of the project. We've got some water on site, and we're about 25 kilometres away from a town called Crusader, which is a very long-standing tungsten mining town and a great place with a workforce that's used to mining. It's a workforce of about 42,000 people, total population. In terms of the history, it was discovered by the Garimpeiros, who are the prospectors of Brazil in the 1920s. They took out about 150,000 ounces. Ike Batista, who I'm sure you've all heard of, is Brazil's richest man, did Brazil's first ever heap leaching operation on this particular project. Back then it was called San Francisco, and we've renamed it. It's called Borborema now. That's a picture of what it looks like at site. You can see the open pit in the foreground. It's a very modest open pit, about 300 metres long, maybe 50, 60 metres wide, 25 metres deep. We purchased this project in August of last year. 24th of August we signed the deal, we paid the money, and 2 weeks later we sent the drill rigs on site. Our initial program was for 6 weeks of drilling. We haven't stopped. We've still got 5 rigs on site. We've got 3 diamond, 2 RC rigs drilling around the clock, and we've completed over 40,000 metres of drilling since we began 13, 14 months ago. It's quite an outstanding achievement in a very short period of time. Not only have we done that amount of drilling, we have done 3 resources, each time upgrading it, thankfully, and we're due a 4th upgrade next week. We've grown the resource from 0 start. We are currently at 1.86 million ounces, and we expect to go through 2 million ounces next week. There's a long section of what the actual deposit looks like under the ground. In the middle and the centre at the top, you can see what the old pit looked like. So we saw the photo of that open pit. As you can see, it's quite a very small percentage of the actual deposit as it looks now. We expect that the oxide that was mined from that open pit is going to constitute about 3 or 4% of the total ore body. So quite a small amount. Some of the more recent drilling is on there at the bottom of the screen. We're getting very consistent and very good grades at depth, and it appears to be getting better, thicker and more ounces per vertical metre as we go deeper. Oops, I think I broke it. There's a typical long cross-section through the ore body. I could show you 10 or 12 of these cross-sections. They all look almost identical. It's a very planar ore body, and at this stage we haven't found the end of it. We're still drilling along strike and hitting the zone. It is getting lower grade and narrower along strike, but at depth it appears to be getting quite good grades and still quite thick intercepts. A couple of intercepts on there worth pointing out, and I don't know if we've got a pointer here. Yeah, sort of, you can... One of the deeper ones we can see there on hole 24 is 20 metres at 5 grams. And then underneath that, we've hit a nice consistent section of 46 metres at 1.71, I should say. There's the resource. As I said, this slide will be out of date next week. 1.86, about half in indicated, half inferred, and the grade's about 1.3. We've done a lot of resources. We've also just completed a pre-feasibility study. This is an economic study. It was done by in-house by Mike Schmulian, who is very experienced in these kinds of things. A really robust base case at 3 million tonne per annum. We're really comfortable that this is going to be the minimum of the project, and there's a lot of scope to make this even bigger than what it is now. Good strip ratio. Metallurgy is excellent, 96% recoveries. A 9-year operation is being considered here, and dependent on next week's resource update and how many tonnes we actually get, we will consider increasing this for the bankable feasibility study, which we plan to start in about 2 weeks. Here's a general layout plan of the site. One of the things I'd like to point out in here, we have some challenges on this project. The road that I mentioned, the federal highway that runs directly from Natal, actually bisects the ore body into the south. You can see it running right through the yellow zone there. We will have to move that federal highway. I haven't asked the ambassador yet, but I'm sure he's going to be able to help me do that. It's a process that we'll hopefully be able to achieve in a few years. The way we've scheduled the mine, we won't have to touch that highway for the first 2.5 years of operation. So we've got until 2016 to be able to move that particular highway. Water is going to be our second biggest issue in the area. It's a semi-arid climate up there. There isn't any groundwater, significant groundwater, and we're looking at two different solutions. The surface water, collecting a large dam, is going to be the main way that we solve this problem. But we're also talking to Cohais Novus and looking to use some of their groundwater from their sewage farm to use as processed water in our operation. We see that as a great way to help the local farm, the local town, and obviously get rid of one of their environmental solutions, one of their environmental issues. Power actually crosses through the northern part of the ore body as well, but that shouldn't provide any problem for us, and we will take a spur from the town of Santa Cruz, which is about 30 kilometres away. When we purchased this project last year, we bought 60 square kilometres of mining tenure. Since that point in time, not only have we drilled, we've done lots of engineering, we've also been pegging madly. We've recognised that this particular project lies within a belt called the Serrador. And the Serrador is about 350 kilometres long, it's about 50 or 60 kilometres wide, and it's not surprising, given some of the comments that were made earlier, that how underexplored Brazil is, that the opportunity is still available for us to go and peg a long strike from this ore body. The future for Crusader next year in this area is to expand our footprint, not only in terms of applying for ground, but to apply some of these expert Australian techniques to go and look along strike for the next Borborema, and we see that as a very exciting part of our future next year. Just looking forward for the next year, obviously we've got drilling underway until Christmas. We'll keep drilling next year all the way through the year. The bankable feasibility study will start in a couple of weeks, and we'll obviously kick off the brownfields and regional exploration. When I say this is a significant gold mine, what I've done there is I've put it in where we hope to get it into operation and compared it against the existing gold mines in Brazil, and as you can see, it comes in at 5th place, and it may even grow from that base there. Obviously that doesn't include any of the big development projects that are going on at the moment, but as you can see, it will be a significant project for Brazil and specifically for the region, which is quite impoverished and can certainly use the development. So we're very excited about the potential of Crusader going forward. I want to touch briefly on a small project, Posse. It's an important project for us because it's going to help us realise some of our ambitions at the gold up in the northeast. So there's a picture that we took about a year and a half ago when we started putting the plant into construction at Posse. Posse is about 30 kilometres outside of Bello. We've heard about Bello today. It's the heart of the mining industry. It's a great place to operate. It's right in the middle of the iron quad. But more importantly for us, we're surrounded by customers, people who want to buy the iron ore. So we're one of the Brazilians that aren't selling to China. We're going to be selling to the domestic iron producers, the pig iron guys, and we're surrounded by our customers, which is a real advantage. So we don't have to worry about the ports, we don't have to worry about trains, we're just selling at the mine gate. We own 100% of the project. It's quite modest in terms of its size, much smaller than Safam's great asset. It's about 36 million tonnes. But one of the real advantages is we've got a very high-grade hematite at surface, which will crush and screen in the first couple of years and sell as a lump product. It's quite low in phos. We get really good grades of iron out of it, and it's something that we're really excited about getting into production. We're in the final stages of licensing for our stage 1, and we're really hopeful that the first quarter of next year will be in production. Our plan for Posse is to take it away in 2 stages. Stage 1 will last a couple of years, where we target the lump ore. Stage 2 will add a gravity separation, a magnetic separation part to the plant to take away for some fines and some sinter feed. There's a couple of photos of the plant. You can see it's been built and it's ready to go. It's been commissioned. We're ready to turn it on, and we're really looking forward to doing that and becoming a mining company in Brazil. There's a quick summary of what we're doing in stage 1. I'm going to skip through those, and I'm going to show you one of the photos from Google Earth. The challenge of Posse is to operate right next to a highway. This is the main highway from Bello to Victoria. As you can see, Posse sits on a hill right next to the road. Luckily, it's free digging. We don't have to do any blasting. One of the things we really need is elbow room. So the duplication of this highway as it goes through will allow us a little bit of extra room. But at this stage, it's our greatest challenge is to actually operate within a restricted site. But we believe that we're going to be able to do so quite successfully and hopefully in the first quarter next year. So a quick couple of highlights, a couple of summary. You know, Crusader is a Brazilian company. We want to be there. We've been there now for 5 or 6 years. All of our management, all of our senior executive staff are all based in country, and we think that's a real key point of difference. We want to use the cash flow from a small and modest operation at Posse to fund our ambitions for a very large and exciting gold project at Borborema, which just seems to keep growing. And we've been on a pretty exciting journey this last year, and long may it continue. Thanks very much.